In this video, let's focus on those fixed server roles that are designed to apply administrative permissions to users. Now, these are provided for two things: convenience and backward compatibility. Now, when you see those two words, backward compatibility, in the documentation from Microsoft, you know that something probably a little different is coming at some point in the future. But the convenience level here is that if we have a particular administrative function that we want a user to be able to do, we can just simply drop them into a fixed server role and grant them those permissions. Now, Microsoft strongly recommends that you always create user-defined roles with more specific permissions whenever possible. Because again, you don't even want to accidentally back into the situation of granting more permissions than a user actually needs. SQL Server provides 9 fixed server roles. These are there once you install SQL Server. They're built in. They have pre-assigned permissions that you cannot change. These are the sysadmin, server admin, security admin, process admin, setup admin, bulk admin, disk admin, DB creator, and public. Let's go take a look in the interface, and we'll jump out into SQL Server Management Studio, and I just want you to see these. Here is the server level, and so this is the security folder at the server level, and if I expand that, you can see right here is server roles. Now, if I expand that, there are my 9 fixed server roles. So if I want to add a user to the disk admin role, I just right-click on this, go to Properties, and notice I can click on Members. Right here is Role Members. I can click on Add, and then I can browse, and I can see my users. And so if I want to add, for example, my user account into that fixed server role, I just click OK and then click OK. And then notice I am now a member of the disk admin role. I'm going to cancel here because I'm already sysadmin. But that's how easy it is to use these. Okay. Now, it's very important that you understand the basics of what permissions you're applying. Just jot these down and memorize this little bit of information, or learn it well enough that you can recognize the differences between these. The sysadmin role. A member of the sysadmin fixed server role can perform any activity anywhere on the server. You want to be very, very limited in who you add to the sysadmin role. A member of the server admin role can change server-wide configuration options, and they can shut down the server. The security admin role. Members of this role can manage logins and the properties of those logins. Now, they can also grant, deny, and revoke server level and database level permissions if they have access to that particular database. So here again, this is one of those situations where you can inadvertently start granting more administrative permissions than you originally intended. If this person has access to a particular database, even though you don't want them to have admin rights on that database, if they're a member of the fixed server level security admin role and they have access to a database, guess what? They can start to work with a little more power on those permissions in that database than you intended. And we're also going to talk about the difference between grant, deny, revoke, and the interrelationship between those permission settings a little bit later on in the course as well. Now, this security admin can also reset passwords for SQL Server logins. Now, this is one to watch for on the exam. They need some help resetting SQL Server logins. I will just drop them into security admin. That may not be a good solution. Process admin. Members of this role can end processes that are running in an instance of SQL Server. The setup admin role. The members of this role can add and remove linked servers by using transact SQL statements. Watch for this one. It's a little different. If you want someone to add and remove linked servers using SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS, they'll have to be a member of sysadmin. Just one of those little oddities in the SQL Server environment. The bulk admin role. Members of this role can run the bulk insert statement. And by the way, the bulk insert statement allows you to insert a lot of rows without having to log full information in the transaction log. Disk admin. A disk admin role provides members the ability to manage disk files. The DB creator role allows members to create, alter, drop, and restore any database. Again, you want to be very careful with that one. Now, the public role is one you need to listen closely on. It's very easy to get confused about this. This one historically shows up on the exam in some form. Every SQL Server login by default belongs to the public server role, and there's nothing you can do about it. When a server principal has not been granted or denied specific permissions on any secureable object, that user automatically inherits whatever permissions have been granted to the public role on that object. And there's a better way of saying that. I can assign public permissions on any object when you want the object to be available for all users. So if you have a table out there that you want everybody to be able to select from, maybe this is some sort of news, latest news, information table, who knows what, or it's general information that everybody in the company needs access to. You can just simply go to the public role and apply select permissions. You just gave permissions to anybody who's been authenticated to select data from that table. Be very careful with that. If you apply deny, you're denying everybody access to the table. And so just kind of watch as you go through that. So that's a quick look at the 9 fixed server roles that are built in to SQL Server.